Okay, so guys, we are going to be reacting to his story. So here we go. I guess so we're gonna be watching this one. Yeah, we're gonna watch this one real quick.
A man, my twin brother Chris and I were 9 when
What?
a man climbed onto our school bus
What?
with a knife, and the first thing he heard was a slow clap from the back row. Confused, he screamed at our driver, Mrs. Worley, to keep driving and not stop for anyone. A kid leaned forward. Nice ski mask. Did you cut the holes out yourself, or did
Are
your
you
mommy
stupid?
help you? The whole
Are you
bus
stupid?
laughed. He waved the
Are you
knife around.
stupid?
Shut up and no one gets hurt. Your hand is shaking so hard I can't tell if that's a threat or a dance move. He stepped toward the kid who said it, and 20
I swear these people are stupid.
voices started talking at once. Oh, he's walking now. Everybody watch out. He spun around trying to find who said what, but insults were coming from every direction. Bro seriously hijacked a bus with no plan, no getaway car, and a Walmart knife. This is the saddest crime I've ever seen. We wouldn't let him finish a single sentence. Are you robbing us for money? All I have is an EBT card and a bus pass. He pointed his knife at Mrs. Worley, and the whole bus went silent. A kid stood up. You can threaten us all you want, but if you point that thing at Mrs. Worley again, we're gonna have a real different conversation. He laughed nervously and asked what a bunch of kids were going to do about it. A girl said, "We're on the bus to the school for troubled teens. Half of us are here for assault, and the other half won't say why." Mrs. Worley looked at him over her shoulder. "Honey, I've watched these kids make grown men cry over smaller things than pointing a knife at me." He lowered the knife. "Smart choice. She brings us donuts on Fridays. We protect what matters." His face twisted, and he shoved toward the kid with the knife raised. Mrs. Worley pulled over, stood up, and stepped between them. "That's enough now." He grabbed her arm and shoved her into the dashboard. For half a second, the bus was completely silent. Then a kid came over the seats like something feral, and 3 others were right behind him. The guy didn't have time to turn around before someone hit him in the back of the knees, and he went down. The knife skittered under the seats, and kids were on top of him before he could reach for it. Someone had him in a headlock while someone else pinned his arms. A girl sat on his legs and went through his pockets just to add insult to injury. Mrs. Worley pressed the emergency button. "I need police at my location. Tell them there's no rush. The situation is handled." The guy was crying. "Please get off me. I can't breathe." A kid leaned close to his face. "You should have thought about that before you touched Mrs. Worley." When the cops showed up, they found him tied to a seat with shoelaces and snot running down his face. A man climbed onto our school bus with a knife, and the first thing he heard was a slow clap from the back row. Confused, he screamed at our driver, Mrs. Worley, to keep driving, and
This guy chose the wrong bus. This guy chose the wrong bus, man.
after 8, the flight attendant slipped me a nap. The flight attendant slipped me.
I wanted
My
to
daughter,
watch that.
the flight attendant.
I wanted to watch this one.
After 8 years on death row, I was ready to die. They said I killed Rebecca. My fingerprints were on the knife. My blood was at the scene. I told them I didn't do it, but nobody believed me. I spent years fighting, filed every appeal, exposed every contradiction in the evidence. None of it mattered. My lawyer stopped returning my calls. My appeals.
Why did your lawyer?
Visiting 2 years ago.
What?
My own mother thought I did it. The only person who ever believed me was my grandmother, and she passed away 5 years ago. So when they
that's
asked
sad.
what I wanted for my last meal, I thought of her. Her meatloaf, the one she made me every birthday. I wrote out her recipe from memory, every measurement and technique precise. An hour later, the prison chef showed up at my cell holding my form. "What is this?" "Meatloaf. This is a novel, not a recipe. Ground beef 60%, ground pork 40, breadcrumbs soaked in whole milk for exactly 10 minutes. Yellow onion, not white, sautéed in butter until translucent. Fresh thyme, not dried. Worcestershire, 2 tablespoons. No substitutes. And this glaze with brown sugar and apple cider vinegar, brushed on at 340 degrees, 20 minutes before done." He looked at me through the bars. "Why so specific?" "It's how my grandmother made it. She's gone now. If I'm going to die Friday, I want to taste her cooking one last time." He was quiet for a moment. "Some of these ingredients we don't stock. Fresh thyme, whole milk, real butter. I'll have to special order them. I have 48 hours. He sighed. "I'll make it exactly how you wrote it." Thursday morning, the ingredients arrived and the chef started cooking. I could smell it from my cell an hour later. Onions sautéing in butter. Grandma's kitchen. Saturday mornings, her humming while she cooked. I sat on my bunk and cried for the first time in 8 years. Thursday afternoon, the chef ran into problems. The oven temperature wouldn't hold steady. He had to recalibrate, start over on the glaze twice. "It has to be perfect," he told the warden. It's his last meal. Thursday night, I couldn't sleep. Not from fear, from the smell. The meatloaf baking through the night while I sat alone with memories of the only person who believed I was innocent. Friday, execution day. 10 a.m. and no meal yet. Noon, and the chef said the glaze wasn't right. 2 p.m. a guard brought regular prison lunch because the meatloaf still wasn't ready. 4 p.m. 2 hours left. The smell was overwhelming. Guards kept walking past the kitchen just to breathe it in. 5 p.m. The warden came to my cell. Your meal isn't ready. We're delaying the execution 2 hours. 6 p.m. came and went. The original execution time. I was still alive, waiting for meatloaf. 7:30. The chef
He may actually survive because of the meatloaf. Just saying.
finally appeared with a covered plate. He looked exhausted. He uncovered it, and the meatloaf looked exactly like my grandmother's. I ate slowly.
Good job, chef. Shout out to you, chef, whoever you are.
Savored every bite. Perfect. I finished the last bite at 7:51. 9 minutes left. The guard opened my cell. Time to go, Preston. They walked me down the hallway past other cells. Inmates were silent. They always were during execution walks. We reached the preparation room. The chaplain asked if I wanted to pray. I said no. 7:55. 5 minutes. They started walking me toward the chamber. That's when the warden's phone rang. He answered and his face changed. Stop. Everyone stop moving. What's happening? Rebecca's ex-boyfriend just confessed to her murder. You're innocent. My
What?
legs gave out. A guard caught me. The chef appeared in the hallway out of breath. He slid down the wall and sat next to me. If that meatloaf had been ready on time, you'd already be gone. I just sat there, still alive. Because my grandmother's recipe was too complicated to rush. She saved my life.
I called it. I called it. I was right. I knew it. I knew it. I said a few minutes, like a minute ago, maybe because the meatloaf is delayed, he'll stay alive. And I was correct. And I have never watched this. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I've never watched this. I've watched a couple of his stories. I've never seen this one in my entire life. Trust me, I'm not lying.
always did. After 8 years on death row, I was
He's lucky. He's lucky. He is lucky.
I was at my high school prom when I let out a fart so loud I knew I had to go, so I rushed into the nearest I was at my high school prom when I let out a fart so loud I knew I had to go, so I rushed into the nearest porta potty. But the second I latched the door, it started violently rocking back and forth, and my stomach dropped. I heard a laugh. I'm a flip it. Say I won't. I realized it was Derek, who'd bullied me since freshman year. Derek, don't. I'm in my suit. But he heaved it over anyway, and I slammed into the door as the tank emptied all over me. I crawled out dripping in filth while he cackled with his friends. Ow! He smelled like caca, farts, and ah! I walked away without a word like I always did, and I had no clue that tonight that would finally change. I was heading for the exit.
What is caca? What is caca? Caca. Never mind.
Hands on my face, crying, when my teacher grabbed my shoulder. I've watched him bully you for 4 years. I should have stepped in long ago, but I won't let you take it tonight. My throat tightened, because no one's ever stood up for me. Then Derek's voice cut across the lot. If you're not a pussycat to come back, I'll flip it again, loser. The whole crowd laughed, and for the first time, the humiliation turned into something I've never felt before. I looked the teacher dead in the eyes. Tell me what to do, but my suit's trashed. His nose burned at my smelly suit, and he slipped off his own suit jacket and threw mine in the garbage. His suit hanging loose on my frame. Then he walked me through loosening the porta potty door so it would blow open when it tipped, and he handed me 2 suction cups. I didn't understand what they were for, but he just grinned. Trust me, he pointed at a porta potty. Stand near that one. It's been used all day. I walked back into the packed prom, and Derek shoved through the crowd with a grin. You came back. This'll be even better than last time. My heart pounded, because I'd never stood up to anyone in my life, but I forced myself toward the porta potty. You want round 2? Bet. Everyone watch. The whole prom turned as he shoved me inside and heaved it over. He was laughing like he won, until the loosened door burst open and a whole day's worth of filth poured out, burying him as the crowd screamed. He staggered up.
I'm a bit sick, that's why I'm coughing. Karma. Now, for a second there, I was like, why do you want the most filled one if it's gonna pour? But then, now I know.
Gagging, coated head to toe, spinning around for me. Then I stepped out without a single stain, because the second he flipped it, I'd stuck the teacher's suction cups to the wall and hung above the filth as it poured out the door onto him. His friends pointed and laughed. You smell like caca, farts, and ah. 4 years later, I got the last laugh, and across the room, my teacher gave me a proud nod. I was at my
What is caca? Caca. What is it? Caca, what is it? What is it, caca? Yeah, well, caca, what is it? Let me pause it in case it's something weird. Okay, it's just poop. Okay. Alright. Well, wait a minute. He just released one.
I clinked glasses with my wife and toasted to never having kids.
He posted this one 5 minutes ago. Within 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes. Comment here. Within 10 minutes, comment here. Oh my god. Alright, well, this is crazy. We're gonna watch one of the newest ones. Here we go.
He smiled. This is why I love you. I opened the trivia game. I clinked glasses with my wife and toasted to never having kids. She smiled. This is why I love you. You're okay with never having filthy gremlins running around. But then my phone rang, and when I picked it up, an off.
Filthy gremlins? Why are you calling children filthy gremlins? Filthy. Why am I getting filthy? Don't tell me. Yo, what's up?
Never having kids. She smiled. This is why I love you. You're okay with never having filthy gremlins running around. But then my phone rang, and when I picked it up, an officer said, "We're so sorry. Please come to Orchard Fostering Agency right now." My blood ran cold as I told my wife I needed to go. I walked into the agency with my legs shaking and saw my 8-year-old niece, Lucy, hugging her teddy. Her wrong, sweetheart. Daddy's dead.
What are we gonna do after this?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Are they gonna have her? I'm predicting it right now, guys. I think this girl's gonna come in. His story is gonna help her, but the wife is gonna try to kill her or do something bad to her. That's what I'm predicting.
She replied without looking at me. I felt my legs buckle because my little brother was dead. But before I could even think, a woman tapped my shoulder. Lucy wouldn't talk to any of us. She asked for her Uncle Dan specifically. If you can't take her tonight, she'll have to go into the foster system. I said I'll take her in before my brain could think. We climbed into my car and my hands shook on the wheel. I told my wife I'd never have kids, but when I looked at Lucy sobbing into her bear, I knew I couldn't abandon her. We pulled in and I walked inside with a lump in my throat. My wife saw Lucy and immediately sneered, "What's she doing here?" Lucy jumped, but I told her to stay down and asked my wife to please talk upstairs. She slammed her fork and followed me while Lucy sat on the couch. She slammed the door while tapping her foot, and I explained everything. My brother's death, Lucy asking for me, her being thrown into foster care unless we took her. But my wife didn't even hug me. She clenched her jaw, and her first words were immediately, "We promised we'd have no kids." She stormed out and stomped downstairs before I could react. I followed her, but she was already in Lucy's face. "We're not raising you. I'm sorry about your dad, but you're not staying. Now go pack your bags while I call the foster agency."
I called it. I really called it. I actually called it. Wow.
My face dropped in horror because she'd already grabbed her phone, and Lucy actually stood up. She grabbed her bear and walked towards the door like she was going to leave, and that's when I called out, "No, Lucy's staying." My wife put her phone down and turned to me. "No, she should stop being selfish and putting this mess on us. It's not our fault she got unlucky with her dad." Lucy said quietly, "It's okay, I'll just leave," but I shook my head.
Yeah, it's not your fault either.
Mess.
It wasn't even your dad's fault unless dad caused the. I don't know.
And got in my wife's face. "That's my brother you're talking about, and Lucy's staying." I stomped my foot, and my wife stepped back. "Okay, then."
Yeah, stand your ground.
And choose me or that stupid girl. I looked at Lucy, then at my wife. Easiest decision I've ever made. "You just showed me your true colors. Get out of my house." Her jaw dropped, and she threw a wine glass at me before storming out and slamming my door. Lucy was still crying as I dropped down and hugged her. "Uncle Dan's got you, sweetheart. You're staying. We're gonna help each other get through this." We sobbed into each other's arms. I never saw my wife again, but 10 years later, I sat at Lucy's graduation, holding her bear and watching her get her diploma as she smiled at me. She's still my niece, but she's also my daughter too. I clinked glasses with my.
Yep, I called it. I called it. Called it. All right, well, we're gonna probably react to like 1 or 2 more YouTube shorts. They do have videos too, but that's for another time.
Mess.
We will go with Nerf or nothing.
My friend. I clinked glasses.
All right, this is gonna be one of the last ones. Here we go.
My friends and I were in the backyard blasting my older brother's exclusive
Okay.
Nerf blaster when he ripped it out of my hands and shoved me like he always does. You're too much of a baby to even hold this.
What?
Get your loser friends out of here. I'm telling Mom you stole it. My friend's faces dropped,
What?
so I yelled, I'm not a
He never. Why are you playing with them if you think they're a baby?
baby. I can shoot better than you. He smirked and pointed at a tiny can on the fence across the yard. Fine, hit that in one shot and you can keep the blaster. Miss, and your friends are banned for good. And I'm telling Mom. He tossed me the blaster, laughing, because he knew I'd never made a shot like that in my life. My friends gathered behind me, hyping me up
Yeah.
as I raised the blaster and lined up the tiny can across the yard. I took a slow breath and steadied my aim, dead on it, and I smiled, knowing I was finally about to prove him wrong. But the second my fingers squeezed the trigger, my brother shoved me hard in the back, and the dart flew way off to the side, sailing toward the fence. He
Oh,
burst out laughing as
he
I hit the
pushed
dirt.
him
You're
for no
pathetic.
reason.
I knew a little baby like you couldn't do
You
it.
should tell
My
him
friends
cheating.
erupted, screaming that he cheated, but he didn't
Yeah, that's cheating. Chad, that's cheating.
care. He just cupped his hands and yelled for Mom while waving them off. Get out of here. You're all banned losers. Then he ripped the blaster out of my hands and leaned down
Yo.
over me. You'll never prove me wrong. But then one of my friends started jumping
Man, you need to lock him up. That's like 2 counts of assault on a minor.
up and down, screaming, He's a goat! He's the goat! My brother smirked and puffed out his chest. Yeah, I know I am. Not you, you idiot, your brother. My brother spun around, and his face went pale. My dart had ricocheted off the fence post and stuck dead center on the can. His own shove is what landed the shot. That doesn't count. Right then, the back door opened, and Mom came out. Someone called me. My brother opened his mouth, but I stood up and pointed at him. He shoved me on the ground and called all my friends losers. Mom marched over, grabbed him by the ear, and dragged him inside, grounding him as he flailed his arms and cried. I turned to my friends and held out the blaster. Turns out I only needed one shot to prove him wrong. My
Yo,
That's what the guy gets.
yo,
for trying to
yo,
show his-
that's pure car. We're gonna watch one more and then we're gonna end this video
but
off.
his
So
plan
we're gonna be
backfired.
watching
He was trying-
this guy right here.
I opened the trivia game during my flight and typed my name in as Aaron Baum because my dad was from Thailand.
Alright, everybody
I
shut up.
I opened the trivia game during my flight and typed my name in as Aaron Baum because my dad was from Thailand and Baum was my surname. But when a flight attendant walked by and saw Baum on my screen, she immediately speed-walked to the pilot. I thought nothing and kept answering chemistry questions, but then the pilot's voice came on. We're making an emergency landing. Nobody panic. I was confused until 2 crew members showed up to my
How's this
seat.
emergency?
Please come with us. I stood and followed them, my heart pounding. In the cockpit, the co-pilot closed the curtains and calmly said, "We know you have a bomb on this plane." I immediately shook my head, but a flight attendant was already zip-tying my wrists so tight my fingers tingled. She pulled a tablet with the trivia game I'd been playing. "You put your username as Aaron Baum. We know you're making a discreet bomb threat." I almost laughed, explaining Aaron Baum was just
Not a
my
bomb
name,
threat,
but the
guys.
co-pilot was already calling bombs.
Don't think your name is stupid, okay? Even if your name is Aaron Baum. I mean, to be fair, he did type it on an airplane. But still, it's his name. Like, took his passport.
Squad and FBI through his radio. The best thing you can do right now is admit you're guilty. You're already getting 25 years minimum. Then a passenger pulled open our curtain. I'm flying to my daughter's heart surgery. She
Okay.
could die and I might not be there to hold her hand. Do we really need to emergency land? He was sweating, but the pilot held up his hand. I'm sorry about your daughter, but this is more serious.
What-
A flight
what-
attendant
what's
escorted
so
him to a
serious?
seat without another word. We continued descending, and they kept asking if the bomb was on a timer and how I snuck it past
it's not a
security.
bomb,
I
it's
begged to
the
show them my
name.
passport, but they never let me. When we made our emergency landing, 2 FBI officers rushed into me. I begged to show them my passport, but they never let me. When we made our emergency landing, 2 FBI officers rushed into the cockpit with a bomb squad holding my bag. They carefully unzipped it. "Where's the bomb?" They tossed all my things to the floor, and I again said, "I don't have one. Aaron Baum is my name." That's when the bomb squad member squinted. He opened my passport. Says here Aaron Baum is just his name. I was reaching for a Sprite at the grocery store.
I literally said Aaron Baum. I literally said check your passport.
We're sorry, Mr. Baum. We can offer you a $15 meal voucher for the flight attendant turned to me. "We're sorry, Mr. Baum." They looked at my passport. Aaron Baum. The flight attendant turned to me. "We're sorry, Mr. Baum. We can offer you a $15 meal voucher for the misunderstanding." I opened the trivia.
Alright, guys, so today we will be reacting to her story. We just reacted to his story yesterday, so we're going to be reacting to her story now. So, let's react to her most recent one,
I was in a
which was 5 minutes ago. Chat, 5 minutes ago? Bro, it's at 67. I have to make it to 68, okay? I'm sorry, guys. No, 67 is stupid.
Conga line on a cruise ship when I heard someone. My son
Yo,
Harry
cruise
was.
ship, this
I was
is
in a
for you.
conga line on a.
This is for you.
I was in a conga line on a cruise ship when I heard someone screaming in the ocean. I instantly broke free of the line to see what was going on, but suddenly a man at the front grabbed my shoulders and shoved me back into the line. Don't do that again. Ignore it. Goosebumps went up my arms, and I knew something was very wrong. I stomped on his foot, yanked free, and reached the railing just as a pregnant woman surfaced in the water screaming,
Yo.
"Help! I can't swim! He pushed me!" I screamed and pointed at her. "There's a woman drowning in the water!" But the man cupped his hands around his mouth. "She's kidding, folks! Keep it moving!" And the line danced past me like I was part of the show. I leaned over the railing, and the woman was completely still now, with her head tipped back and her mouth just
Is she dead? Wait. What about the baby? What about the baby inside?
breaking the surface. My heart was slamming because I knew she didn't have long. So I ripped the DJ's cable out of the speaker and the music died mid-beat. "There's a woman in the water. She can't swim. Someone needs to rescue her." 200 people hit the railing, and the same line that was dancing 30 seconds ago locked wrists down the ladder, every hand gripping each other's. They hauled the woman over the rail, coughing up seawater. She kept one arm on her pregnant belly and weakly raised the other to point at the man who forced me not to save her. That's my husband. He started the conga so nobody would hear the splash. He doesn't want to raise our daughter together. He backed toward the stairwell, palms up. That's not true. She fell. She's
Yeah,
drunk.
that is
She
true.
fell, but I planted myself across the steps and didn't move. Security zip-tied his hands to the railing his wife went over. Behind us, the speakers crackled back on, playing that same conga song to an empty dance floor. I was in a conga line on a cruise ship when I heard someone screaming in the
I thought you unplugged that. Okay. Let's see the comments.
My son Harry was crying when I picked him up from school, saying, "Mr. Wilson gave me a month of detention."
This one's called "My Son Got Punished for Being Right." Yo, this is like a his story one.
And a 0 for the unit. I asked him, "What happened?" He said the Great Wall of China is the only man-made thing you can see from space. So I took out my space book and showed him astronauts proved that's wrong since the wall is too skinny and blends into the ground. But he called me a liar and took my book. I'm a NASA astronaut, so I thought one conversation would clear this up. But when I found Mr. Wilson, I told him I could explain the fact, but he rolled his eyes. "I don't need space facts from a parent." He tapped his book. "The curriculum says the wall is visible from space, so that's what I teach." So I went to the principal instead, but she crossed her arms. "I'm not going against a teacher who's been here 20 years because of one small fact." That's when I decided to take action. The next day, I walked into Harry's class and Mr. Wilson looked annoyed until I slid my NASA mission badge and flight ID across his desk, and he was shocked. "I'm a NASA astronaut. Can I talk to the class about space?" The kids got excited and started begging him to say yes, so he agreed. But his face fell when I put my own photos and videos from space up on the projector. The Great Wall is actually very difficult to see even from up in space. Astronauts need zoom lenses to see it. A boy asked, "So what can you see?" I clicked through the pictures. Cities at night, huge dams, rivers, farms, but no wall. A girl raised her hand, but Mr. Wilson said it's in our textbook. I picked up the book. This was printed in 1985 and has outdated information. Mr. Wilson kept getting redder as I put up quote after quote from astronauts saying the wall isn't visible from space. Then the principal walked in, and that's when I turned to Mr. Wilson. "Now, where is the book you took from my son?" The principal instantly glared at him, so he pulled it from his drawer and gave it back to Harry. But I wasn't done. I called an astronaut, and she answered floating on the space station and waved at the class. The whole room gasped in excitement. Everything Harry told
Self-service up there. How do you have self-service? Okay, let's just continue the video.
you is true. I've looked for the Great Wall from up here and it isn't there. The class nodded, finally understanding. And by that afternoon, Harry's 0 and detention were undone while Mr. Wilson got sent to a workshop on teaching science that's actually correct. My son Harry was crying when I picked him up from...
Yeah, that's what you get for teaching for I don't know. Now we're gonna watch our most famous video. I swear I've seen this one.
I was walking alone at night when a police officer started walking beside me and grabbed my arm. "Don't react and keep walking. Someone's following you." I subtly turned around and saw a man in a dark hood 30 feet behind me, matching my pace. I stopped for a second, and he instantly leaned against the wall, trying to seem discreet. The officer told me to stay calm and walk with him. He guided me forward, gripping my arms so tight I couldn't pull away even if I wanted to. I kept glancing back, and the man was now closer. That's when he walked through a streetlight, and the light shined down on something metallic sticking from his pocket. My whole body went cold. I pressed closer to the officer and told him what I saw. He nodded and said, "Don't worry, we'll get you home. You're safe with me." But then he started steering us away from the lit-up main road and onto a darker sidewalk, almost like he was leading me somewhere specific. That, plus his grip on my arm, made me feel uneasy. But when I turned around, the man was now walking straight at me, holding the metallic object and no longer trying to be discreet. I knew I had no
Like I said, guys, I've seen this one before. I'm just acting like I've not seen it.
but to trust the officer. I told him the man was closer, and he looked around, pointing to an alleyway nearby. This cuts through to the other side of the street. You can call a cab from there. He gripped my arm even tighter and pulled me. I was about to just go with it, but then I saw a taxi sitting 50 feet in front of me with its light on. I told the officer I'll just take this one, but his grip tightened. The man is still too close and the alleyway is safer. He tried pulling me again, but I yanked my arm free and sprinted toward the cab. He reached for me again, but I was too far away. I got in and locked the door, shaking and unsure what to even think. Then 3 weeks later, I was watching the morning news, and my coffee slipped out of my hands. 2 men were arrested for the murder of a woman. The officer who grabbed my arm and the man in the hood. They worked together. The man followed her at night, and the officer lured her into an alleyway under the guise of safety. The woman who trusted the officer never came home to her kids. I was walking alone at night when a police officer started walking beside me and grabbed my arm. Don't react and keep walking. This boy was trolling on the dark web when her sister noticed he slammed his laptop shut. He was shivering, and she knew something was wrong. Scared, he immediately ran to the living room. She yelled, "What happened?" But he wouldn't say anything. He started freaking out, closing all of their blinds, locking the front door, and she begged him to tell her what was going on. He was freaking out, and that's when she opened his laptop. She couldn't believe it. Someone sent him a picture of their front door. They sent another picture, and when she clicked on it, it was a picture of her through their window that said, "She looks tasty." She couldn't.
What, you gonna eat her? You gonna eat her? What do you mean if you look tasty? You're gonna eat her? I'm so confused. Well, maybe they want to marry her, maybe they want to eat her. We will find out. Sorry about that. My voice, 1 is weird because I'm sick, and 2, I don't know, but I haven't had much to drink. Well, I have had much to drink, but like, I'm also sick, so that's why my voice is very, very weird. Here we go.
Breathe. She was about to run and grab their dad, but her brother grabbed her arm, saying, "No, he'll kill me if he knew I was on there." Neither of them slept that night until someone rang the doorbell the next morning. A guy with a badge told their dad they saw some suspicious activity coming from their network, but he told him he didn't know anything about it. He told them to stay safe, but the next day in class, her principal burst through their door. She told her she had to come with her that second and that the police were there, and she followed her to the office, thinking it had to be her brother. But the second she walked in, she saw the same guy from yesterday holding his badge. He smiled when he saw her and told her there was an emergency at her house. He grabbed her arm and tried to pull her out, but she resisted. "No."
I'm thinking that her dad is gonna be dead by the man that took those pictures. What do you guys think? Leave a comment. Leave your thoughts in the comments below.
"Tell me what happened. Is my brother okay?" But he didn't say anything. "Come with us." She didn't want to, but her principal nodded and said, "They're police officers, honey. Go with them." They took her outside, but she noticed their car didn't have any police stickers on it. She thought these guys must just be undercover, but when they put her in the back, she immediately noticed there
The undercover cops who don't have uniforms on. That's getting a bit fishy.
They're not real.
Maybe.
weren't any door handles either. There was no way she could get out.
There's no door handles? That's not undercover. Okay.
"Where are we going?" But they laughed. She was sweating now. "Please, I just want to see my brother." But they didn't say anything until they saw flashing lights behind them. Both of the guys immediately got nervous, and when she realized it was the police, she knew this was her chance. The cop was walking up to the car, and she was about to scream for help, but just before she did, she felt something sharp in her stomach. She looked down and saw the man holding a knife against her. The cop walked up and looked inside the car, and when he saw her crying, he looked suspicious. She tried anything she could to signal for help, but the man said, "That's just my niece. She's upset
He just in the front seat. Okay.
because we didn't get McDonald's." She couldn't say anything. The knife was already cutting her skin, and the cop
Fun fact, I just had McDonald's for lunch today, but
just told them to have a good day. She was crying, but they drove off. She accepted her life was over. She wasn't ever gonna see her family again until they started arguing. "He saw our faces, man. If we kill her, they're gonna know it was us." So in that moment, they opened the door and threw her out, and she had to run back with her hands tied. This boy was trolling on the dark web.
that's let's look at her oldest video right here.
When I saw my husband's newest friend.
All right. February 7th.
I was sitting in class.
When I saw my husband's newest friend over for dinner, I knew I had 60 seconds to leave the house. I came home from work and my husband was beaming in the kitchen. Hey babe, I want you to meet someone. My new friend from work. He's making us dinner tonight. A man stepped out from behind the counter. My blood turned to ice. I recognized that face immediately. I'd seen it in every one of my nightmares for 3 years. This is Chase. He's like a brother to me already. My husband gleamed. Chase smiled at me. A calm, friendly smile. Nice to meet you. My legs almost buckled. He'd found me. For context, I was kidnapped when I was 19. A college freshman, walking home alone from a late study session. I was wearing headphones when a van pulled up beside me. I didn't even have time to react before a hand clamped over my mouth and dragged me inside. I was duct taped and driven for hours. The man took me to a house in the middle of nowhere, kept me in a soundproof
Predicting that man was that guy's friend.
basement chained to a pipe. I was there for 4 months. He came down every night, sometimes twice, called me his project, said he was training me, made me thank him when he was done. He took photos, videos, made me say things into the camera, said if I ever escaped, he'd send the footage to everyone I loved. When I fought back, he burned me with cigarettes. The night I escaped, he forgot to lock the door. I ran barefoot through the woods for 6 hours until I collapsed at a gas station. Police never found him no matter how hard they looked. He simply vanished. But before I changed my name and moved across the country, a letter arrived at my hospital room. I'll find you. We'll pick up right where we left off. Now he was here, standing in my kitchen, stirring pasta. Like the last 3 years were intermission. My heart was slamming against my ribs. I needed
Wait a minute. I was correct. That man is the guy's friend. Okay. Yeah, I could write these stories. I could actually write these stories.
an excuse to get out of the house. I forgot my water bottle in the car. I said to my husband, let me go grab it. My husband walked over to me. No worries, babe. You've had a long day. I'll go get it for you. He started walking out the door. I grabbed his arm. No, I'll go get it myself. It's fine. I'm right here. I said I'll get it. I snapped. My husband stopped, looked at me weird. Why do you want to go outside so badly? I froze. I need to talk to you. Outside. Right now. He stared at me, then sighed. Chase actually warned me about this. My stomach dropped. He told me women get weird when their husbands make new male friends. Something about losing control. I realized it then. Chase had already manipulated him. Already planted seeds against me. That's when Chase appeared around the corner. A calm smile. Everything okay? Yeah, my husband said, just going to grab her bottle. He stepped outside before I could react. The door closed, leaving me and Chase.
No, you just killed your wife. What have you done?
What's that with him?
What have you done?
Alone. Chase quickly walked toward me, reached past my shoulder. He locked the deadbolt before I could stop him. Told you we'd pick up where we left off. He backed me against the wall. You really thought you could hide from me? New name, new city. I'd never felt so scared. His hand gripped my jaw. I've been watching you for 6 months, getting close to him, becoming his best friend, waiting for tonight. I felt like I was going to throw up. My husband is right outside. Chase
No, you just killed your wife. Chase, what have you done, Chase?
scoffed. Your husband thinks I'm the greatest guy he's ever met. He's not coming to save you. He grabbed my arm, then put his hand over my mouth. I tried to scream as loud as I could. Nothing came out. I screamed again. No sound. Chase was smiling at me like this was amusing. That's when I bit his hand, hard as I could. He let go just long enough for me to yell, help! My husband heard it immediately. He ran back to the door, tried the handle, locked. He pounded with both fists. Babe, what's happening there? Chase was angry now. He grabbed my throat with his hands and started squeezing. Then I saw it. My husband ran around the side to the window. He looked in and saw Chase pinning me against the wall. Saw his hand around my throat, the tears streaming down my face. I made eye contact with my husband. Something inside him snapped. He grabbed the patio chair and hurled it through our window. Glass exploded everywhere. He climbed through without hesitating, shards slicing his arms, blood running down to his elbows, but he didn't even flinch. He tackled Chase before Chase could react. They hit the floor hard. The thing is, my husband is a 6'4" jiu-jitsu black belt. He wrestled Chase down, then grabbed a lamp from the side table. Chase tried to raise his hand to defend himself, but it was too late. My husband brought the lamp down right on Chase's skull. Once, twice. Chase went limp. My husband dropped the lamp and crawled to me. Are you okay? Please talk to me. Are you okay? I couldn't speak, just collapsed into his chest sobbing. He pulled out his phone, dialed 911, never let go of me once. Police dragged Chase out in handcuffs. They took my husband in for questioning, but we had security cameras in our hallway. He was released by morning. I bandaged my husband's sliced arms while he sat at our kitchen table. I told him everything for the first time. He just listened, didn't interrupt once. Then he spoke. Guess you could say he really chased after you, huh? Get it? I slapped. When I saw my husband's newest friend over for dinner.
That was the worst joke ever at that moment.
I was sitting in class when I felt a tingling in my brain and immediately knew what it was. My entire life, my doctors had told me if I ever felt my epilepsy coming back, I'd have 2 minutes before I could burst out into a seizure and would probably never wake up. I knew my meds were in my locker, and when my hands started shaking too, I knew I needed them bad. I raised my hand and asked if I could use the bathroom, but my teacher didn't say anything. I had no choice, so I stood up, but she stopped me. Excuse me? Did I say you could leave? I told her it was an emergency, but she looked closer into my eyes. Wait a second. Why are your pupils so dilated? Are you on drugs? I pulled away from her. No, I'm not on drugs. I need my epilepsy meds. I tried to walk past her, but she grabbed me again. Nuh-uh, you're going to pop more pills. I knew it. She shoved in front of me and locked the door. I've had it with the druggies in our school. I felt it getting worse. Please, I'm not—
Are you stupid? It's not drugs. Oh my god.
lying. I really do have epilepsy, but she was already at the light switch. You know what? Let's test it then. She instantly started flicking the lights, and I felt my brain tense up. I yelled, stop, and my classmates started getting mad too. One guy in the back stood up. Let her go. This is serious. Can't you see? Absolutely not. She called our principal, telling him she caught the drug dealer they've been looking for, telling him to search my locker. Since you want to keep lying, let's really test this. She typed something into the computer, and the screen exploded with rapid strobing lights in every color. Our whole class was yelling now, especially the one guy in the back. But as he stood up from his desk, something happened. His voice cut off mid-sentence.
Did he just die?
We all looked at him and saw his face. Then he just completely collapsed, kicking rapidly on the floor. Our teacher paused on the video, realizing he wasn't joking. All of the girls around him were screaming. Nobody knew what to do. Then someone burst through our door. Our principal heard all the noise, and when he saw him, he was terrified. He dropped down next to him, trying to remember what to do. But when I saw the cops, I saw they were holding evidence bags. They just went through my locker and took my epilepsy pills. I used all my strength to get up and yelled, "Those are my seizure pills. He needs them." The principal saw them and realized I was telling the truth. He opened them, basically shoving them down the boy's throat, and we all watched him slow down and finally stop kicking. Then we turned to our teacher. Long story short, she's in the same prison as Diddy. I was sitting in class.
Yo, that is crazy. Diddy is crazy. Diddy is crazy.
I was walking home when I noticed a man behind me. He smiled at me, not friendly, hungry. He started to pick up the pace. I started speed walking. I could hear his footsteps behind me. The streets were empty. I took a bunch of turns trying to lose him. When I finally did, I ran into my apartment building out of breath. I was standing in the elevator. The doors were about to close. Then his fingers jabbed through the gap. He walked in and stood right beside me, started playing eerie music on his phone. I felt like I was in a horror movie. Bang. He slammed the emergency stop button. I stared at the ground. I could see the outline of something rectangular in his pocket. It looked like a knife. My phone slipped out of my hand and hit the floor between us, my only lifeline, now closer to him than me. He bent down to pick it up. His hood fell back. His face was ghostly white. His hands were shaking worse than mine. This is it. I'm going to die. He dropped to one knee, pulled the object out of his pocket, a small box. He opened it. A ring. Will you marry me? I was walking home when I noticed a man
Okay.
That's so weird.
That is what the beginning.
behind me. He smiled at me, not friendly, hungry.
Hungry. Like, hungry for what? Love?
My father abused me for years in secret, but then one day he proudly confessed to it in public. My father never loved me, and the only time he acknowledges my existence is when I make a mistake, and he leaves me with bruises and a limp to make sure I never do it again. So one day when he told me his friends were coming over, I was excited because I knew it was my chance to expose my dad and show everyone who he really was when no one was watching. As soon as they all sat around the table, I began to serve them. I clattered forks a little too loudly on purpose and walked a little too heavily, watching as he pretended not to be angry so he could seem like a good dad in front of his guests. And finally, it came. He slammed his fist on the table and shouted at the top of his lungs, "You're a worthless mistake. I'd be better off if you were never born." I looked over at his guest who froze and said, "I didn't know you spoke to your daughter like that." My father looked like he was about to faint. Turns out, the guest was his boss, and his outburst lost him a promotion. My father abused me for years. When me and my children finally escaped my abusive husband, we thought our problems were finally. My father abused me for years in. When me and my children. My father abused me for years in secret. But then one day When me and my children. When me and my children finally escaped my abusive husband, we thought our problems were finally over, but they weren't. For most of my children's lives, we were living in fear of my husband that I'd been forced to marry in an arranged marriage. I always thought escaping him was the answer. So when we finally ran out the door that day and made it to the homeless shelter, it was the best day of my life. But on the second day, we realized it was closed during the day. I'd have to put my kids in the dirty stroller the shelter gave me and walked around aimlessly. That's until winter came around and it started snowing one day. Luckily, there was a diner close by, but when I went in, I was told I had to buy something to stay. I really didn't want to spend my last $30, but if I stood outside, then my kids would get really sick. And so I bought the cheapest food item there. I tried to get my kids to eat as slow as possible so we could stay longer. Midway through the meal, a random woman came over saying she had spare clothes and asked if I wanted them. My face lit up and I said yes as fast as I could, but then she went out to her car to get them and drove off. My heart shattered and I felt broken by life again. But then 10 minutes later, she returned with a car full of clothes. When me and my children finally escaped my...
Yo, a car full? Did you say a car full? Well, at least you got enough clothes for the entirety of your life.
I was always curious to see what it would take to make my husband snap. Then I found out the hard way. My husband Jason is the calmest person I've ever met. And even when our 8-year-old daughter was diagnosed with blindness, he didn't freak out. He just stayed steady.
The beginning is crazy.
And thought about how to buy her a guide dog, but soon I found out what he was truly capable of. We were at the park one Saturday when it happened. Our blind daughter was sitting on a bench with her guide dog, Luna's harness, in her hand. "I need to use the public bathroom," Jason said before getting up and kissing my forehead. As soon as he left, a man and his 10-year-old son started running towards us. They ended up beside us, and the boy was pointing at Luna and jumping up and down. "Dad, look at this dog. I want it." Before I could respond, he was already reaching for Luna while staring at me. He asked, "Can I pet her, please?" I would usually say no, but this time I said yes because my daughter had no friends, and I thought this would be good social interaction for her, so I nodded yes. The boy dropped
dropped to his knees and started aggressively grabbing Luna's fur. Pat her gently, I said. She's a working dog. He ignored me and started pulling Luna's ears. Luna whimpered. I repeated, I said gentle. The father dismissed me with his hand and watched his son yank Luna's tail without correcting him. I spoke again. Please stop. She's a working guide dog for my daughter. She's blind. The father stopped smiling and said, well, she doesn't look blind. I felt my jaw tighten. Excuse me? I'm just saying it seems like she's faking it because she's literally looking right at me. Suddenly, his ugly son looked up at our daughter and waved his hand in front of her face. Hello? Earth to weirdo? Don't do that, I said. The boy laughed and stood up, still holding Luna's collar. Well, since she's not actually blind, she doesn't need a dog because people who are actually blind use sticks. Before I could even respond, the boy yanked Luna's collar. Come on, doggy, you're mine now. My daughter heard what was going on and gripped the harness tighter. She shouted, no, Luna, stay with me. I turned to the kid. Get your hands off the dog. Now. The father spoke, looking at me like I was being difficult. Just give us the dog. My son wants it. I stared in disbelief. No. Our daughter's voice came out small. Mommy, what's happening? The man leaned down toward her and said, what's happening, sweetie, is we're taking your dog, since you're lying about being blind. Our daughter started crying, silent tears running down her face. The kid grabbed Luna's collar with both hands and started trying to drag her.
There has to be some kind of law about this. You have to call the cops. Call the cops. Call the police.
Towards their car. No, our daughter screamed. Luna! The father ripped the harness out of our daughter's hands. I tried to move, but the man was holding me tight. The kid was laughing. Stupid blind girl. You don't deserve a dog. Our daughter was sobbing. Mommy, help! I can't see. Where's Luna? Then I saw it. My husband Jason was running towards us in the distance. As soon as he made his way towards us, his fist hit the man's jaw and he dropped to the floor. The kid was still holding Luna's collar. Jason grabbed his shoulder and pushed him away. He really is our savior. I was always curious to see what it would take to make my husband snap. Then I found out the hard way. My husband Jason is the calmest person I've.
The beginning of that was crazy, though. I thought he was. Well, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, me reacting to her story, and, we will be reacting to his story and her story tomorrow, so I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Peace. Guys, today we'll be reacting to his story and her story, so here's his story first. I think it's only fair to watch a YouTube video real quick of them. It's 20 minutes. We're gonna find a shop. 7 hours? Heck nah. You weird. Heck nah, bro. You weird. Alright, but nah, bro. No, just kidding. We have to watch YouTube shorts because the videos are too long. Let's watch his story's oldest one.
A teenager tortured my dog for fun, then threatened to do it again. My dog had gone missing for a few hours, and when I finally found him, he was standing outside another house in my neighborhood. He was covered in bruises, his eye was swollen shut, and blood was still dripping down his side. The teenager walked out and didn't apologize. He just told me to keep my dog on a leash, or he'd do it again. I rushed him to the vet, but he was too far gone. I had to put him down just to spare him the suffering. That dog was the only memory I had left of my late wife, Helen. So I called in a few favors and found out everything about this kid, his school, his job, his girlfriend. He was enrolled at a Catholic private school, and when I told them what he did, they expelled him within the week. His girlfriend was vegan and an animal lover, so convincing her to break up with him was easy. I sprinkled in a few lies, and she destroyed his car for revenge. Then my friends and I posed as customers at his job and filed complaints until his manager fired him on the spot. His life was gone within days, and as he was walking home after getting fired, I ran him over with my truck. A teenager tortured.
Okay, the end was a little bit too far. The end was a bit too far. Killing him was a bit too far.
You should just tell his mom to ground him.
Killing him, that was a little far, don't you think, guys?
It was a little far, a little.
The popular girls. I walked in. The popular girls ranked every guy in our grade by attractiveness, so I ranked them by weight. Someone texted me, sorry bro, with a link. Every guy in our grade ranked by attractiveness and height. I was a 5. The comment next to my name said, average face, below average height, would not recommend. Other comments were worse. Would be cute if he wasn't built like a middle schooler. The whole thing was anonymous, but everyone knew who made it. Tiffany and her crew. You couldn't miss Tiffany. Built like Jabba the Hutt stuffed into a Brandy Melville top, but she ran the school so nobody said anything. By the next Monday, 3 guys had deleted their socials. One kid, Darnell, stopped coming to school entirely. I saw his mom picking up his homework from the front office. She looked like she'd been crying. The girls thought it was hilarious. I heard Tiffany in the hallway saying, it's just a joke. Guys are so sensitive. I tried to do it the right way first. Went to the school counselor and showed her the list. She said she'd look into it and did absolutely nothing. A week later, the list was still up with more comments being added. Someone ranked Darnell a 1.5 and wrote, generous. He still wasn't back at school. I caught Tiffany at her locker between classes. The list is hurting people. Darnell has hasn't been to school in 2 weeks. You need to take it down. She looked at me with this fake pity face. Aw, are you upset about your little 5? Don't worry, I'm sure someone will settle for you eventually. Her friends howled. I didn't react. So you'd be okay if someone did the same thing to you? She laughed. No one would dare. I nodded. You're probably right. That night I sat in my room thinking about what would actually get through to her. Words didn't work. Authority didn't work. The only thing Tiffany would understand is feeling exactly what she made everyone else feel. So I opened a Google Doc and started typing.
Wait,
Got
what?
the
I
weights
didn't
from
actually
Instagram posts, beach photos, anything public. Estimated where I had to. Spent 3 days on it. Made sure it was brutal. Made sure Tiffany was right at the top. Friday lunch, I dropped the list at exactly noon. Within 10 minutes, it spread to every corner of the cafeteria. Girls were crying, screaming. One girl threw her phone across the room, but I kept my eyes on Tiffany. She was holding court as usual when someone handed her their phone. She squinted at the screen, scrolled. Her smile disappeared. Scrolled more. Her face went red, then purple. She was number 1, 187 pounds. Comment, not even Ozempic could save this one. She stood up so fast her chair fell over. Her eyes scanned the cafeteria until they found me. I waved. She marched over with her whole crew behind her. You think this is funny? This is disgusting. This is body shaming. I'm reporting you. I stayed calm. Body shaming. That's crazy. It's just a joke. This isn't a joke. This is harassment. Is it? Because when I told you to take your list down, you said it was just a joke. You said guys need to stop being so sensitive. The cafeteria went dead silent. The difference is you ranked guys by height and attractiveness, things they were born with, things they can never change. I ranked by weight, something anyone can change if they wanted to. For the first time, she had nothing to say. Her friends backed away. We both got detention. Someone finally dared. The popular girls ranked every guy in our grade by attractiveness.
That. He had a point. He had a point there about changing. He had a point. He had a point there. She probably eats chips all day, eats all kinds of cookies. Probably never goes to a gym. She probably doesn't even know what a gym is. We're just gonna go down to his like least popular video. I know he has like 1 million videos, so I'm probably gonna be scrolling for a while. But I just wanna watch his least popular video. Oh my god, I'm gonna be scrolling forever. I'm about to be scrolling forever. At least I would wish they would have like a category least famous, but they don't. I'm gonna be scrolling for ages. Me is gonna be scrolling. Okay, I'm done. We're just gonna watch this one.
My older brother gave me a pair of brand new Jordans and said Santa Claus got them for me. I was 8 years old and believed him instantly. Before Kyle, our fridge was empty most nights, and my mom worked doubles just to keep the lights on.
Okay, this one is gonna be it, and then we're gonna switch over to her story.
My older brother gave me a pair of brand new Jordans and said Santa Claus got them for me. I was 8 years old and believed him instantly. Before Kyle, our fridge was empty most nights, and my mom worked doubles just to keep the lights on. Then Kyle started coming home with food, clothes, things we never had before, all from the North Pole. Our neighbor got a brand new microwave, and the family across the street got winter coats for their kids. So when 2 cops knocked on our door one night asking where Kyle was, I lied and said he's not home, because the only thing Kyle asked for in return was that I couldn't tell anyone. That lasted about a day. I wore the Jordans to school, and my best friend asked where I got them. I told him my brother gave them to me. He came over that weekend, saw Kyle's room, and said, "Dude, your brother's room looks like a toy store." I just smiled. Kyle gets stuff before anyone else does. Pretty soon, everyone at school was asking me about my brother, and I loved it. I started going around telling kids about how Kyle's business partners drove up in nice cars every couple of weeks to pick up garbage bags full of stuff from our house. About the trucks that showed up at night, the boxes Kyle loaded into them, and how I woke up one morning to $50 on my dresser with a note that said, "Thanks for being quiet last night, buddy." So when career day came around, I made a whole poster about my brother, stood in front of my class and told them Kyle helped get products to families in our neighborhood who couldn't afford to buy them from stores. My teacher stopped smiling halfway through and asked to talk to my parents after school. That Friday, 2 cops knocked on our door, and I smiled like usual and said, "He's not home," exactly the way Kyle taught me. They didn't believe me this time. They came back with a warrant and walked Kyle out of his room in handcuffs. I just stood in the doorway. I didn't understand what was happening. Kyle looked at me on the way out and said, "It's okay, buddy. Don't worry about me." That night, I found out what the North Pole really was. Kyle had been stealing from a massive corporation and giving it all away to us, to the neighbors, to anyone on our block who needed it. Every gift he ever gave me was stolen, and my career day poster ended up in his case file. After they took Kyle, the lights got shut off and we lost the apartment. My older brother gave me a pair of brand new Jordans and said Santa Claus got them for me. I was 8 years old and believed him instantly.
Now they're homeless. This is so sad. Alright, well, we're gonna go react to her story now. So here's her story. Let's see her videos. Okay, pretty nice. I do gotta say, pretty darn nice. We're just gonna scroll. My eyes are shut, guys. I swear my eyes are shut. Boom.
All right.
We're taking this one right here.
My son's teacher taught him something so inaccurate that it almost killed him. Me and my son were in the car when he told me he had a headache. I said, "Okay, honey, I'll get you some Tylenol when we're home." But when we got home, I handed him the bottle of Tylenol and he said, "Thanks, Mom. I love these red M&Ms. They always make me feel better." I laughed because I thought he was joking. My son spoke again. "No, Mom, I swear. My teacher, Mr. Janik, said these are the red M&Ms that make the headaches go away." I just rolled my eyes and we sat on the couch and I fell asleep while he drank water with Tylenol. But when I woke up, he was clutching his stomach on the floor and crying. "Mom, the pain is getting really bad. Why aren't they working?" I asked him what he was talking about, and he just kept crying, saying the M&Ms weren't working. I said, "Okay, let me grab you some more painkillers." I ran into our kitchen, but when I opened the cabinet to grab some Tylenol, it was empty. I shook the bottles and nothing came out. I ran back into the living room screaming his name. "Dominic, did you eat these? Did you eat the whole bottle?" He was crying harder now. "Yes, I ate all the red M&Ms. I just wanted the headache to stop. Why am I in so much pain after eating red M&Ms?" I looked at his face and his pupils were massive. I picked him up and ran toward the front door without shoes and threw him into the back seat. I was driving to the ER in my socks, having no idea what 50 Tylenols could do to an 8-year-old, but I knew I couldn't waste a single second. I was running every yellow light, honking at people to move. We were stopped at a red light and he started shaking. Then it got faster and faster. His whole body started shaking, and it all hit me that he was having a seizure. I screamed his name. I hit 3 curbs pulling into the hospital parking lot, not even turning the car off. I ran toward those automatic doors holding my son, and when they slid open, every single person in that waiting room turned and looked. Dom was moaning, barely conscious, and there was foam starting to form around his mouth. I heard a woman say, "Oh my God, that kid has rabies." I ignored all of them. I ran straight past the check-in desk toward the back, yelling for help. "Help! Somebody help my son!" Nurses came rushing out, and before I knew it, they had him on a stretcher and were wheeling him down the hallway. I tried to follow, but someone grabbed me. They told me I couldn't go back there. They guided me to the waiting room, and I just sat there furious. And that's when I remembered what Dom said in the car. The red M&Ms. He said his teacher told him that. I hopped back into my dented car and soon walked into his school still just in my socks. My son's teacher, Mr. Janik, was sitting at his desk when I found him, chair pumped all the way up because he was 5'2". I yelled, "M&Ms? You told a 7-year-old that Tylenol is red M&Ms?" He instantly looked nervous, shriveling his shoulders together. He said, "I was just joking. I thought I should teach them how to take medicine at an early age." My son almost died. I looked at his right jaw and I swung as hard as I possibly could and watched the red fly out of his mouth as he fell back. My son's teacher taught him something so inaccurate that it almost killed him.
Yo, that's crazy, man. That's just crazy. Alright, well, let's watch another her story video. I'm just gonna go boom. Alright. We're watching this one.
I woke up one day, and for some reason, I understood a new language I'd never spoken before. But when I went downstairs, my whole family was speaking it too. I tried to ask, "What's going on?" But suddenly, my dad started laughing. I was confused and asked again, but my family laughed even harder. I grabbed a notepad from the counter to write what was happening, but my pen only wrote the new language. I started panicking and pointed at my tongue, but my brother asked if I was doing a stand-up routine in the new language. I sprinted out of the house in tears. I got to school hoping someone would tell me what's going on, but every classmate and teacher was speaking the same new language. I asked my best friend, "Why does everyone speak like this?" But she just stared at me and responded, "Speak like what?" in the new language. The announcement crackled in a new language, and when the teacher explained Pythagoras' theorem in the new language, I broke down sobbing. The teacher said something, but all I heard was Schmorsch Fickel van Sagt. The worst part was, I understood her. I was convinced I was in a nightmare and just started screaming. My teacher's eyes went wide and she ran out into the hallway. A few minutes later, paramedics walked in and put me on a stretcher. They drove me to the hospital, where doctors ran tests on me, all talking to me in the new language. They looked at each other concerned, and when I begged them to explain, a doctor put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Gettin' flucked smishpox." I felt a needle in my arm and everything went black. I woke up 15 hours later, sedated and in pain, and when I looked in the mirror, I noticed a huge scar on my head. My family was around my bed, and when I asked them what happened, I realized I was speaking English again. My mom grabbed my hand and started crying and said, "We were always speaking English, honey." She told me I had a brain tumor no one knew about pressing on my language center that was making me think I was hearing and speaking gibberish when it was just English. The doctors had just operated scolded it out of me. I was in shock and asked her, "So when I told you bish grunk fu this morning, what did I actually say?" She replied, "You asked what's for breakfast. You never said bish grunk fu." I woke up one day, and for some reason, I understood a new language I'd never spoken before. But when I went downstairs, my whole family was speaking it too. I tried to ask, "What's going on?" But suddenly, my dad started laughing. I was confused and asked again, but my family laughed even harder. I grabbed a notepad from the counter to write what was happening, but my pen only wrote the new language. I started panicking and pointed at my tongue, but my brother asked if I was doing a stand-up routine in the new language. I sprinted out of the house in tears. I got to school hoping someone would tell me what's going on, but every classmate and teacher was speaking. During my final exam of senior year, my teacher went around collecting everyone's phones, and when she got to me, she pointed at my medical bracelet. "I need that too." I explained this was my grandma's. She had life-threatening seizures, and this alerted me if something happened to her, but Ms. Rivers shook her head. "I've heard these excuses before. Give it up or fail automatically." I didn't want to, but Grandma always said my education came first and hadn't had an alert in weeks, so I put it in the box, but 10 minutes later, I heard it buzz. That's the alert. My grandma had an accident. I started grabbing my bag, but Ms. Rivers waved her hand. "It can wait." It buzzed again, and I stood to my feet. "My grandma needs help. I'm going." I ran towards the door, but Ms. Rivers crossed the room before me and locked the door. "Your grandma is fine, and if you leave, I'm void the exam for this whole class, and everyone gets a 0. I gripped my head in disbelief as even
This has to be illegal. This has to be illegal.
my classmates told her to let me go, but she just crossed her arms.
Not
The box was
leave,
buzzing
that's-
non-stop now, and I kept wrenching the door handle, trying to get out exam. That's when the buzzing stopped. "See, everything is fine," Ms. Rivers grinned. "Now sit down." I did, but my legs were still shaking. Then the door handle rattled. The principal stepped in and looked at me with a face that made my stomach turn. "Come with me, please." I stumbled into the hall, and he shut the door shut. 2 officers stood there, their hats off and lips quivering. "Your grandma had a seizure," one said. "She didn't make it." I felt the floor tilt under me. The cops explained the neighbors reported a loud crash, and when they found Grandma's body, her fingers were still wrapped around the alert bracelet. I started crying and explained everything, and the cops instantly walked inside and cuffed Miss Rivers for obstruction of medical aid during an emergency. I opened her drawer and cried, looking at the medical bracelet with 29 alerts from Grandma. Miss Rivers locked eyes with me while getting escorted out. "Your grandma dying wasn't my fault. I was just following the rules." During my final
It's
exam of
not a
senior year,
role. If it was a role, then you wouldn't be under arrest. Well, anyways, guys, that was me reacting to his story and her story. And go check out my other 2 videos. And thank you for reacting or coming with me to react. So, peace.